I once told a near stranger at a party my entire life's history of anxiety in about 10 minutes flat. I thought I was being open and authentic. In reality, I was just rehearsing my anxiety symptoms, tricking my brain into thinking I was in danger, right there next to the snack table. You might think you're just venting to get it all off your chest, but what if you're actually talking yourself into a deeper anxiety cycle? In this video, I'm going to share the science behind why this happens, and more importantly, the anxiety relief techniques you can use to stop it. Section 1. The Anxiety Rehearsal. Why talking can make it worse. We've all heard the advice for better mental health. Don't bottle it up. Talk about your feelings. And there's truth to that, but it's only half the story. To be clear, talking with a professional in a structured setting like therapy is one of the most effective ways to treat anxiety. What we're talking about is the unconscious way we talk about anxiety in our daily lives. We become so focused on the sharing part that we've forgotten to ask how we're sharing, why we're sharing, and what that's actually doing to our brains. Think of your anxiety as a fire. When you feel that heat, your instinct might be to describe the fire to anyone who will listen. You describe the flames, the smoke, the intensity. You think you're getting help, but every word you speak that just describes the problem without moving toward a solution is like throwing more wood on it, making it bigger and harder to control. There's a neurological basis for this. When you verbally unload anxious thoughts in a frantic, repetitive way, you're not just releasing pressure, you're keeping your brain in a state of high alert. It's like you're practicing your anxiety. You're strengthening the neural pathways that lead to stress, making it easier for your brain to take that anxious route next time. For some people, uncomfortable silences can feel threatening, so talking becomes a compulsive way to manage anxiety. But the relief is temporary. Have you ever walked away from a long venting session and instead of feeling lighter, you feel shaky and embarrassed? There's a popular term for this, coined by researcher Brené Brown, the vulnerability hangover. It's that wave of shame and regret that washes over you after you feel you've shared too much. You start replaying the conversation, wondering if you burdened the other person or if they're judging you now. This feeling doesn't just feel bad, it can fuel your social anxiety, creating a vicious cycle. You feel anxious, you overshare for relief, you get a vulnerability hangover, which makes you more anxious, and the anxiety loop starts all over again. Section 2. The venting fallacy, complaining versus processing. This is where we need to make a critical distinction for your mental health. The difference between venting and processing. They sound similar, but they have wildly different effects on your well-being. Venting, the way many of us do it, is really something psychologists call co-rumination. It's a conversational loop where you and another person endlessly focus on a problem, validating each other's negative feelings without ever looking for solutions. It's saying, my job is so stressful, and your friend says, that's horrible. And you say, I know, and then this happened, and on it goes. Research shows this can make you feel closer to your friend, but there's often a trade-off. Studies link co-rumination to higher levels of anxiety and depression because you both walk away feeling more validated in your misery, but also more hopeless. Constructive processing, on the other hand, has a different goal. The goal isn't just to be heard, it's to understand, solve, or find acceptance. It's the difference between saying, I hate my job for the 10th time and saying, I'm feeling burnt out at work and I'm trying to figure out my next step. I'm thinking about talking to my boss, updating my resume, or finding better coping skills. What do you think? See the difference? The first is a complaint. The second is a call for collaboration. Venting is like emotionally spinning your wheels. Processing is putting the car in gear and trying to find a road, even if you don't know the destination yet. The problem isn't sharing, it's sharing without intention. Before you open your mouth, ask yourself, Am I seeking relief by complaining, or am I seeking progress by problem solving? Section 3, the oversharing trap, online and in person. This habit of talking ourselves into anxiety plays out everywhere, a pattern often called oversharing. First, let's talk about online oversharing, sometimes called trauma dumping. We post a long emotional story because it feels safer behind a screen. But this perceived safety can be an illusion. Often you get shallow responses, a hang in there, or a sad emoji that can feel dismissive. You also lose control of your story. Now, this is different from retelling your story in a structured, therapeutic setting, which can be incredibly healing. But sharing trauma without that safe container can leave you feeling more exposed and misunderstood. Then there's the validation seeking. You post, you wait, you refresh. If the likes don't meet your expectations, it can trigger a new wave of anxiety, creating a loop. You feel anxious, you post for validation, the response isn't satisfying, and you end up more anxious. This isn't just an online problem. In person, oversharing is often driven by social anxiety itself. When you're nervous in a conversation, your brain works so hard to manage the anxiety symptoms that you have less mental energy to filter what you say. You might talk to fill uncomfortable silences or over-explain yourself to head off a perceived fear of judgment. You meet someone new and, in a flood of nerves, you tell them your deepest insecurities, hoping to connect. The result is often the opposite. You might overwhelm the other person who doesn't have the context or trust level for that much information, so they pull back. This ironically confirms your deepest fear, that you are too much and people will reject you, which only increases your anxiety for the next interaction. True vulnerability isn't spilling everything to everyone. It's sharing your authentic self within a relationship built on trust. Without that trust, vulnerability can feel like disempowering exposure. Section 4, the solutions. How to stop talking yourself into anxiety. So what's the alternative? The goal isn't to bottle everything up. The goal is to manage anxiety with intention. Here are 3 anxiety relief techniques to start doing that. Solution 1, the write it before you speak it method. Before you call a friend to vent or type that long post, grab a pen. Journaling for anxiety is a pressure valve without the social consequences. It gets the thoughts out of your head and onto the page, where you can look at them more objectively. Often just the act of writing is enough to calm the storm. It gives you the space to figure out what you're really feeling. Only then can you decide what, if anything, needs to be shared with someone else. Solution 2, the intentional share strategy. This is about turning mindless venting into mindful sharing. It involves 2 steps. A, choosing the right person, and B, stating your intention. First, the who. Who should you share with? This should be someone who has earned your trust, a partner, a best friend, a therapist, not a casual acquaintance or a sea of online strangers. Second, the what. You have to tell them what you need. This is a game changer. Instead of just launching into it, you could start with, hey, I'm having a tough time and feel stuck. I'm not looking for solutions. I just need to feel heard for a minute. Is now a good time? Or you could say, I'm overwhelmed by this project. Could you help me brainstorm some smaller steps? This respects the other person and directs the conversation toward a productive end, preventing it from spiraling into co-rumination. Solution 3, the pause and tolerate technique. This one is rooted in mindfulness for anxiety. When you feel that urgent need to vent bubble up, just notice it. Don't act on it. Pause, take one deep breath. Acknowledge the feeling. This is anxiety. It feels urgent and uncomfortable. In that pause, you remind yourself that discomfort is not a command to speak. By creating that small gap between the feeling and your reaction, you are actively retraining your nervous system. You're teaching your brain that you can tolerate this feeling without immediately offloading it. Every time you do this, it's like you're building a new, more measured pathway. The urge might not vanish instantly, but you prove to yourself that you are in control, not the anxiety. We've been taught that talking about our anxiety is always the answer, but the truth is more nuanced. Mindless venting can become a kind of anxiety rehearsal, strengthening the very stress we want to weaken. Oversharing can lead to a vulnerability hangover, leaving us feeling more isolated than before. The solution isn't to stop sharing, but to start sharing with intention. It's about knowing the difference between complaining and problem solving, processing your feelings for yourself first, and choosing to be vulnerable only with those who have earned your trust. You have the power to change the conversation and improve your mental health. It starts not by bottling up your feelings, but by choosing coping skills for anxiety that heal rather than harm. You are the author of your story, but you are also the editor. Choose your words wisely. What's one strategy you use to process anxiety without oversharing? Let me know in the comments below. Your experience could help someone else. And if this video helped you, please subscribe for more content on how to manage anxiety in a way that truly works. Your brain will thank you.